Hello folks, Sean Mize here, and in today's installment we're going to do an overview of the technical implementation of the basic tools that I use to run my business. And I'm going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to do a quick summary of kind of the steps that we're going to use in building our business so we can associate different softwares with them. And then I'm going to share with you the key softwares that I use, or the key pieces or types of software that you'll want to use. I want to make a few statements before we kind of get into it. Number one, I'm going to try to keep it all as simple as possible. I find it's easy to make the technical side of things more difficult than it is. Another thing is that there's obviously, for many types of software that you might need, there may be many solutions. I use one of them, and I just want to be real careful to say that I don't believe that in showing you this list of what I use, I'm indicating that what I use is better than everything else out there. I do believe that for my purposes, it's probably the best. Each one of these is the best software for my purpose. Doesn't mean it'll be the best one for yours, and I'll try as I go through the different softwares to kind of indicate to you, hey, why do I like this, etc., etc. And I also want to say that I use maybe 10 different pieces of software, and each one, if you go to their website and you purchase their training, each one of them maybe has an average of 3 to 5 hours. I don't know. Each one's going to be different, but many of them have hours of video instruction teaching you how to use their software. Obviously, the purpose of this is more of an overview than to teach you how to use their software. If you buy a certain type of software, you'll want to download their information and learn all the steps to using it. So, for example, let's take GoToWebinar, for example. That could take 5 minutes to learn how to turn it on and do a basic webinar. It could take 3 hours to learn how to use everything that's in it. Okay, both of those can be done very quickly on their website, and that's how I learned how to use it. And so each one of the sources I'm going to give you can be learned exactly the same way. So this is really going to be an overview and share with you what I use. It's not going to be instruction on how to use each one of them, because each one of the services that I use comes with instructions. So let's kind of move on here. Let me pull up the first slide with my notes on it. So remember, just do a quick review of the steps that we have in our business. The first thing we do is we create our offer, our idea, and a story that gives our idea life. We're going to create a product, so we'll need a recording service. We're going to write an email campaign, so we'll need an autoresponder. We're going to create a landing page, so we need landing page software. And we're going to create a sales page, teleseminar, webinar, video, sales letter, etc., so that people have a way to purchase from us. We'll need web page software, sales page software. We'll need teleseminar, webinar recording service, and we'll need ScreenFlow or Camtasia for a video sales letter. So if we keep in mind, and maybe there's one more thing you want to add into your business, you could add that down and say, okay, what's the software that needs to go with that? I hope that by lining it up like this, it feels simple enough that you can look at it at a glance and not feel like you need some unlimited amount of software and things to learn. If you look at a lot of these recording services, I mean, most of them have record and save and play. I mean, literally 2 minutes, and you can learn how to use most of the recording services. Autoresponders, the concept is pretty much the same for every one. You're going to have a set of emails, right? Emails 1 through 10. They'll each be numbered or named, and whatever software you choose to use, whatever company you choose to use, there'll be a process, and there should be a video in their software that says, here, this is how you create an email in our service. Landing page, you'll need landing page software. This may take some of you 2 or 3 days to make your first squeeze page. Your first one, though, once you've done your first one, your second one, should take 10 minutes. I mean, the steps, there's a number of steps. Now, they're different for every software that you choose, and that's why, once you land on a software that you like, that tends to be the one you continue to use. Even if something better comes out, you tend to keep using the one you're using. Why? Because it's easy to use. Okay, and then you're going to have the steps in the software for creating your sales page, teleseminar, webinar, video, sales letter, etc., and we'll talk about that as well. Okay, now, few things I want to share with you. It's easy to allow these steps to feel overwhelming. It's easy to see other people doing many different things with many different softwares and get many sales letters. You get sales letters in your email box telling you need one more type of software. You may not, probably don't. Keep it simple. Learn each piece of software service as you need it. If you get stuck, get help. Go to YouTube. Go to the chat service or help desk where you bought the service. Again, I think every one of these services comes with a full line of videos that teaches you how to use their service. So take advantage of those videos. You may think, boy, I can do this faster by just doing it on my own. But 5 days later, when you're still struggling with something basic, if you'd have taken the 2 to 3 hours to watch the initial videos and take notes, it would have been well worth your time. And I know how it is when you get something new, you want to get it implemented. I skip the videos a lot of times too, and then I wish I'd have watched it in the first place. Okay, so choose easy options. If there's two different brands of software, and one is easy to use and it'll do everything you want, you don't need to buy the complicated version just because other marketers use it. Use what works for you. And if you know that your limitation online is the technical side of things, you have a hard time figuring things out technically, you need easy solutions. And just like if somebody else has a hard time putting words on a paper, they need an easy solution. If somebody else has a hard time recording, you need an easy solution. So you find an easy solution for the things that you don't do well. For the things you do well, you do it your way. You don't need an easy solution. Learn to do what's necessary, then go to the next thing. Don't spend too much time trying to master something. Instead, learn what you need, put it in place, then go to the next thing. Recognize that there will always be glitches and frustrations, things that don't work. Whenever I try something new, it takes me longer. Almost every time I think it takes me longer to do it than I think that it's going to. Recognize that there will be frustrations. You can't figure it all out. You may have to hire somebody to do it. It's okay. The thing is, if you look ahead and you recognize that frustrations are going to come, then when they come, they're not as frustrating because you just recognize them as part of doing the business. You have to figure it out just like the next person did. As a result of this, keep everything as simple as possible. The fewer moving parts, the easier it be to keep everything running smoothly. Now I'm going to show you my list of software that I use. I'm going to do just a quick analysis of each one of them. And again, I'm not going to teach you how to use them. I'm going to try to share with you what they're good for and how to make some decisions about which ones to use. So this is a list of the software I use. Now, there was part of me that said I don't even need to put these on there because, boy, everybody uses something like this. And yet, to make this a complete list, I did. Okay, so for typing things out, I use Pages and TextEdit. I'm on a Mac. If you're a PC user, you probably use Word and Notepad. I use Keynote for my presentations like what I'm doing right now. If you're a PC user, you probably use PowerPoint. Okay, I used Audio Acrobat. I still maintain their service simply because I've probably got 50 or 100 recordings that are still hosted there, and it's just easier to keep their service than to move all of those to another service, and more importantly than that, find out all the download pages where I put those links. So that was something I did when I first got started, and I would link directly to where they host it. I don't recommend anybody do that, but just for the sake of transparency, I'm letting you know that's the case. I usually use Instant Teleseminar now when I am creating a training. It's just so very easy to use, and since I use it anyway for recording teleseminars, the audio recording function works just as well. I don't really need Audio Acrobat. Now, if you're not going to do live teleseminars, and I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you weren't, then all you need is Audio Acrobat, and they'll do everything for you. One recommendation, don't fall in the trap that I did. Whenever you create a recording, take that recording and transfer it to your server. So if you ever want to get rid of any service, Audio Acrobat, Instant Teleseminar, or whatever, you're not tied to them. So let's just take a look at a couple of things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want to maybe show you, hey, it's easy, etc., etc. This may make it more muddled than always have to hope I can log in, right? This may make it more muddled. So hopefully this isn't a mistake. And of course, if I can't log in somewhere, then we won't see it again. This isn't about how to do it, but to show you how easy it. You know, if you wanted to record an audio, you'd click on audio here. If you wanted to record video, okay. And then this is actually a list of some of the audios I've done before. See how they're just sitting there? You just click on it right there. It's already been recorded. Click on it. If I click publish audio, then I could click on publish for email, and it'll just give me the link that I can send out to my subscribers. Now, like I said, what I'm probably not going to want to do is use that function. What I'm probably going to want to do is click on download audio. I'm not, because I don't want to download it. Click on download audio. There'll be instructions, or download something, put it on my computer, and then upload it via the server. Okay, same thing with video. So if I wanted to create an audio, I just click right here, click create an audio. If I wanted to record by phone, there's instructions. I'm not going to click there because the code for recording on my service is there, and I wouldn't want anybody to mistakenly record on my service and not yours. But if you click here on audio web recorder, there's instructions here for recording, and all you do is you watch this. Remember, I was talking about short videos. Watch this short video. It'll teach you exactly how to do it, and you can do it with a microphone right there on your computer. And it's really that easy. Video, I think, is about as easy. You can do podcasts, and there's a lot of things you can do in Audio Acrobat. Let's look at Instant Teleseminar. So we'll just pull up my account again. So it is really, really, really easy. If you look at this, you can see this is just the last month of different recordings that I've made, and some of these, of course, are the live telephone calls and that kind of thing. But if I were to create a new, wanted to do a recording, we'd have to create what's going to be a new event. So if I was recording today, it's 4:30 Eastern right here where I'm at. So I'm going to call this 4:30 Eastern on here. I'm going to make it 4:35, just if it won't allow you to be that close. Okay, and we'll just call this test so I can delete it easy. Select a duration, always make it longer than you want, so 2 hours. Say I'm going to do a recording. That's it. I just hit next right here, and then when I'm ready to record, then I just go in to here, and there's some numbers in there for me to call in on my control line, and it'll tell me exactly how to call in. You can call in from your landline phone. You can call in from Skype. You can call in from a cell phone if you have a good connection. It'll, you just record it, and let's just hit on there. You just click when you're inside of it. Okay, you're just hit on the control panel, and you click recordings and click start recording. It'll start recording. When you're done, you hit stop. If you forget, there's a backup recording they do for you. They leave it in there for 30 days. So if you do a backup, just make sure you download it, because it disappears after 30 days. Folks, that's it. That's Instant Teleseminar for you. Okay, let's move on. So they're both really easy to use. Aweber, beginners. This is kind of beginner software. It's low budget. It works really well. I really like Aweber. You say, well, hey, why do you use Infusionsoft now? There's two things that I use Infusionsoft for that I could not at the time use Aweber for. Now, Aweber continues to grow, and maybe they do all of these things now. I don't know. But at the time, I switched, and there's two big things that Infusionsoft does for me. I actually want to use a different account for this, so we'll log out. But I can't talk and type at the same time, so okay. So there's two things. Number one, Infusionsoft gives me a lot more campaign flexibility inside of the campaign, and I'll show you that in a moment. The second thing that it does for me is it allows me to manage people based on themselves rather than based on the list that they're on. So Aweber is more list-based. You have a list, you have people on it, you can have people on multiple lists, but for the most part, if you're dealing with an individual, you've got to deal with them list by list. In Infusionsoft, you can deal with the individual, and it's just it's much. I'll show you inside of my own account or my own name, and then you'll be able to see how it's done. But it's done with tags for lists instead of everybody being on separate lists. So it's a subtle difference, but it's much easier to manage the overall experience. Let's say that I wanted to write an email campaign in Aweber. I just click on follow up. These are already written, so I'm not going to write them again, but you can see every day I have an interval between each one of 1 day. I could make that 3 days, and people would get them every 3 days, and it's really easy. I'm not going to click on writing a new email, but it's really easy. Writing a new email will look very much like looking at this email here. So this is what the email looks like. I type it in there and I click save message in Aweber. I can also click only deliver this message on certain days and times. Oh, this feature, I actually have two accounts here. This is an old account. It's a grandfathered account, so it doesn't have this service on it. But in my other account, we could indicate to only send this on Monday or Thursday, or only send this at between 12 and noon and 3 p.m., that type of thing. So we just won't be able to see that in action. Okay, so let's look at my Infusionsoft account. So if we look inside of my Infusionsoft account, I'm going to show you two specific things in Infusionsoft that I particularly like. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search for me as a unit, okay, as an individual. So I just look me up here, and I'm going to use mine because I don't want to violate anybody's privacy by using anybody else's. So I look at my record, and what you'll notice here on the right is all of these things right here, what we call tags. And so every time I perform, I click on some link, it tags me as having done that. And so what it allows me to do is look up me as an individual and look at all the things that I've been doing in the last year. It allows me to do the same thing for you. So I know what pages you click, I know what emails you open, I can see all of that. I can read down here, these are all the web forms that you clicked on if that was you. This is all the form submissions I've done. Obviously I do a lot because I test everything I do. So I pop up in there. These are the recent emails. I clicked that one, I didn't open that, etc., etc. So you can see the campaigns that I'm in. So let's look at a campaign and say this is recent campaigns. I don't know if that's 30 days, but those are campaign emails. These are emails that are going to go out to me, etc., or to you if you were in there. Then I also want to show you the flexibility in what they call a campaign builder. So let's take this as a teleseminar selling campaign. Okay, and so what this campaign does is it's got different segments, and then each one of these segments has emails in it, and then those segments are differentiated by goals. So if somebody signs up to get on the call, they will come out of this segment and go on to the get on call sequence. If they actually get on the call, they'll now be rolled into the selling sequence. So all of this happens automatically, a little bit different than what I showed you in Aweber. Aweber is much more linear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas this is much more responsive. And for me, I mean, it's certainly worth the extra investment to do it. And so then if we look inside of one of these, we say, okay, these are the emails that somebody could read. Now, some of these emails are not attached, so I could reattach them. Okay, but in this case, they would get this email 4 or 5 hours later. 4 hours later, they'll get this email, and these emails are going to induce them to sign up for the teleseminar. I could continue to send them some of these other ones if I wish to and chose to. Okay, so that's Infusionsoft for you. Let's keep moving. Okay, so Dreamweaver. Only reason I bring this up is because it's for transparency's sake. It's only what I started with. If you don't already create HTML-based pages, don't. I highly recommend using something else, preferably WordPress. If you're not already in love with whatever you're using, if you're starting out, I highly recommend WordPress as a platform. Unless you have some background in doing something else already. I would not get a background in HTML or JavaScript or PHP or anything like that just to build a web business. Use WordPress. It's really easy to do. There's tons of tutorials. If you get stuck on something, just go to YouTube and, hey, how do I do it? And you'll be able to figure it out pretty easily. Okay, one thing I didn't put on here, I use a number of different hosting accounts for my web hosting. I'm not going to name them all here and use a number of them. I have a number of different websites. The one that I find for beginners that I just find is so easy is HostGator. If you're an advanced marketer, you go over to Namecheap or somewhere and you buy your domain name, and then you have your server, and you point your domain name to the server, and that's what I do with most of my accounts. But for my second account and the account that is just so easy to work with, the customer service is so easy, I recommend for anybody that if you're just starting out and you don't already have a web host, you're frustrated with the one you have, use HostGator. It is they've got people on standby 24 hours a day. If you have questions, you can text them. or instant chat them. They've got videos to show you how to do it. What's nice is if you're going to use something like WordPress, if I remember correctly, it's 3-click easy. You go in there, you buy your domain name from HostGator, then you purchase your service, and then you click on the little button that says upload WordPress. It uploads in there. It's like an instant uploader, and then it's there, and then there's instructions on how to use it. It's literally 5-10 minutes. You just follow the instructions they send. Okay, is HostGator the very best web host company in the whole wide world? I don't know. That's not why I'm recommending it. I'm recommending it because it's really, really easy, and my guess is if you're listening to the sound of my voice right here, that's probably what you're looking for, is something easy. If you're looking for something more complicated and you've got thousands and thousands of subscribers and you're doing lots of visits and you're having bandwidth problems, you probably need to get your own server, and then you want to look around and find a web server at a web hosting company that is probably going to be much less customer friendly. If you have your own server, they expect you to be able to upload things on your own, but you get something that gives you a lot more bandwidth than perhaps you'd be able to get at HostGator. I'm not saying you don't get it. I'm just saying that and by the way, HostGator also has some dedicated servers. I don't use that service from them. Okay, then go to webinar. Did I show that to you yet? No. I can't imagine anybody's here and has not been to a GoToWebinar before. I'm not even sure if I can log. You know what? I wasn't planning to go here, but I'll try it. If I can log in, you'll get to see in. You'll get to see how easy it is to create a GoToWebinar instance. I'm not going to show you how to use it. It's really easy to do. And they have tutorials. They have like 10 5-minute tutorials on how to do it. And they're easy to use. So we log into GoToWebinar and we come over here and we say My Webinars. And I hit schedule a webinar, and we're just going to say new webinar in this description, and we'll just schedule it for Wednesday, October 24th, because that's what it gives me. I could change that, obviously. I'm going to hit save and continue. Oh, I have to webinar name. Okay, test webinar. Test webinar. I think we can get away with that little. I mean, obviously you schedule it for whenever you want to do it. Okay, and here I get to say, hey, when attendees arrive, show them this welcome message. I could put my name here if I wanted. Okay, my title, owner, coach. Let's put coach there. Okay, and I hit save and continue, and then I can make this so that it's clear. The only thing they need is first name, last name, or email address, or I could ask for their address, their phone number if I want to follow up. If I want to send them a FedEx package after the teleseminar, I could take their address, whatever the case is. If I wanted to ask them a question, I type it in there, and I just click save and email me the invitation. When I get the invitation, it's going to have a link in it. I can send that link out to my list. Go back to software. Then for recording screen, like what I'm doing right now, then I use ScreenFlow because I'm on a Mac. If you're a PC user, Camtasia is probably going to be easier for you. Folks, that pretty much covers the software that I use. You know how easy Word is to use if you use Word every day. If you use Audio Acrobat every day for a month, it'll be just as easy to use as Word. If you use WordPress every day for a month, it'll be just as easy to use as Word. If you use HostGator every day for a month, it'll be just as easy to use as making cereal in the morning for breakfast. The problem that a lot of people have is they only use HostGator once a year when they have a problem. Okay, and then they don't understand their way around it. Same thing with WordPress or GoToWebinar. But if you'll spend 10 minutes a day in these services for your first month, you learn how to upload emails. A lot of times people get into Aweber, they'll watch all the videos, they'll upload 10 emails, and they won't upload any more emails for a whole year. Well, they've forgotten everything they learned. Whereas if you upload one email a day for 30 days and then you upload one email a week for the rest of your life, you never forget how to use Aweber. And it's the same thing with all of this software. So folks, that's the technical implementation. Again, for details on how to use any of these, I believe every single one, just looking at this now, they all have video I can't think of a single one of these that does not have video, and you can easily go to YouTube and say, hey, how do I do XYZ? And somebody out there maybe a teenager, will have a 5-minute video on how to do it. Okay, so you'd be amazed at what you can find over there at YouTube. So we're going to close out technical implementation.